Chapter 14 on the institution of religion. We were just getting into a discussion about religiosity. So religiosity is the way that people express their religious interests and convictions, and they do that in these 5 ways. Religiosity is your belief system, what you consider to be true. There are rituals, there are religious practices that members perform. I was raised Catholic, and we do a lot of kneeling and praying, different behaviors that we do. Those are considered rituals. The intellectual aspect, which is the knowledge of the doctrine and the belief system and what is known about human existence and how we came to be. There is the experience or the feelings attached to your religious experience or a religious expression. And then there's consequences. So it's the ideas about the commitments that people make and why they make those decisions and the fear or what they think about what will be the outcome. The decisions and commitments people make as a result of religious belief systems, knowledge and experiences. So sociologists and other philosophers and psychologists love to study this topic of religiosity, the way people express their religious beliefs. But it's very hard to study because people lie. In the United States, we have this value of religious things, and most people feel a lot of pressure to be religious or to express their religiousness, and people are thought of if you have religion or you adhere to a spiritualness, that you are a better person. So there's this pressure to participate in religion, and because of this, people lie. So when they give surveys or they ask opinions of people about their practices, people tend to not always be truthful, which makes studying religiosity very difficult. But the reason why so many people are interested in it is because there's this fear that our society, our culture is becoming less and less religious. So let's look at or take the 3 sociological perspectives: functionalism, conflict theory, and symbolic interactionism. What do they think about religion and its impact on our society? So functionalism sees that religion legitimizes social arrangements. It gives a place to determine where people are, where they fall in that social ladder. The consequences of your behavior get you to where you're at. Religion also encourages a sense of social unity. It holds people together. It binds people together. Religion provides a sense of meaning. It gives people, hope towards the future or the afterlife, or that there's some sort of guidance going on within the individual life. And it provides a sense of belonging. So remember that functionalism is all about balance in society and people feeling interconnected and different parts of society being held together. So you could see where religion could provide that balance in society, and how people fear that if religion is not present, that it would create chaos. And functionalists do not like chaos. Conflict theory really examines how religion is a source of division and conflict within societies and between societies. Think about most world wars. Think about our history in this world. Usually there is some foundation for religious persecution or people thinking that one religion is better than another or one is less than another, or that superiority. There's a foundation of religion in most world wars. Think about early civilization and the Crusades and the fight for different religious groups to have ownership over property, countries. That's still ongoing today with some Middle Eastern countries. Think about the conflict between Israel and Jerusalem about ownership over the holy city of Jerusalem. These are all very relevant things that are still happening today. Conflict theory also looks at the different standards that are set up in religious different denominations based upon Um, think about the division between the rights and responsibilities that men and women have in different religious groups. Who's allowed to be a leader, who's not, who has rights, um, the expectations based upon gender in religion. So that's also something that conflict theory looks at. Symbolic interactionism. So religion is also all based upon meanings and symbols. And symbolic interactionism sees that religion provides stability and security in a changing and uncertain world. People create this symbolic meanings from their religious ideas, and it helps them to feel balanced and anchored in sometimes an ever-changing, chaotic situation. So, what about religion here in the US? Um, Many Americans are concerned that religion isn't as important as it used to be. They're concerned about this process of secularization, where its sacred loses influence. Um, so we're going to look at some charts here in the book in a little bit, but many ask the question, um, is religion still important? Is it still impact our society? And we're going to look at some charts here in a little bit to look into that. But we still have this civil religion here in our country. This is where there is a religious theme in the U.S. Think about our money, where it says, "In God we trust." Um, think about whenever you listen to different political leaders and they start or they end a speech with, "And God bless America." So we still have this connection with religion or spiritualness or the being of God in our country. There's something called the invisible religion. This is where a regular structured religion, whether it be Christianity or Hinduism or Muslimism, is substituted for a private religion. They don't have a formal practice, but they participate in a private spiritualness. And then to swing against this idea of secularization taking over our society has been a resurgence of fundamentalism. This is a practice where people reject secularization and they go to following traditional beliefs, rituals, and doctrines. So, is the United States becoming more secular? Well, let's turn to page. So turn to page 425 in your book. So there is a chart. There's a graph here at the bottom of the page, right there. You're going to look at it. Look at that line graph. Comparatively speaking, the year started in 1992 and it goes to 2016. It's looking at the percentage of Americans saying religion is very important in their lives. But at the height, it was at 61%, and at a low, it's only 53%. So it's less than a 10% swing in uh, about 20 years, actually more than that, about 30 years. So people are thinking that our country is becoming, that religion is becoming less and less important. That line has remained pretty stable in the past 30 years. So religion is considered still actually pretty important. Um, so when you think about how religious are Americans, think about which state you would think would be considered most, or people report being most religious. What do you think? Which state would it be? If you visited the South, you would probably see that there are more displays of religious sayings, crosses, things like that. It's very Christian. They might call it the Bible Belt. Well, the state that is considered most religious um, is Mississippi. If you look at the different countries on there, you can see how the South is way more blue than the North, and there's a concentration of religiousness there. Um, so some other comparing the U.S. globally, um, actually the U.S. kind of falls in the middle when they're looking at comparison of church attendance. Again, people tend to lie when they're asked these questions about how often they attend church. The United States is in the red bar. But can you see that top bar, Jordan, almost goes all the way across? They have over 90% of weekly church attendance. So it's interesting. I wonder what's going on in Jordan. I wonder if they are more of a country like an ecclesia where there is a state religion. We have to look more into that. But countries that are similar to us are Iran and India and Italy. So think about that. Normally, when we think about countries that we compare ourselves to, it's more like countries like Germany, France, um, China, but we have double the participation in weekly church attendance when compared to other um, countries. So another chart that I think is also very interesting, when comparing the wealth of a nation to how religious they are, again, we typically compare ourselves to countries like Germany, hopefully you can see this, Japan, Canada. They're all down here. So they're less religious, but they have a lot of wealth. The United States is way over here. So again, we're more religious and we have more wealth. So we're more in line with religiousness as countries like Mexico, Lebanon, Venezuela, and Chile. So again, the United States is an odd duck when it comes to looking at religion. So that is the end. I believe that's so what affects religious participation? That was one thing we didn't cover yet. So people's social class, the job that they work, your political ideology, what you believe in, and your family tradition all influences your religious participation. Okay, so those are the things that socialize you into being more religious or not. So that is the last chapter. That is the end of chapter 14. That was video number 2.